Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to Legend of Keepers. My name is Keejchen, and today we'll be feeding a troll. It is a new DLC that has hit the field this week. It's called Feed the Troll. Normally you don't want to feed the trolls, but in this case we do, because we're going to be playing the troll. We'll move up in here and hit load. This is my old save from my previous playthroughs. You will have access to them on the YouTube if you want to see those. They're fairly old. The game has been around for a while now, but it's still being updated, and that's cool, super cool to see. The troll has a little bit of a reference to another very popular game that is circling around the stratosphere right now. The troll himself, though, is a shaman, kind of. He's very reminiscent of the Warcraft troll, Yamon, and all that stuff. A new playable character. We can check out some of his info here. I'm not going to read it out loud. He's 421 years old, almost 420, but not quite. His name is Anchanchu, alright. And he's pretty powerful. I like him a lot. So I've played the first mission here, which is also a new thing that I haven't covered, so I'm just going to talk briefly about it. Every character has this new campaign system that you can play with. I haven't played it a whole lot myself. There it is again, beautiful. And so, like I said, I played the first mission in the Trolls campaign. We'll dive in now into the next one here. I think they will be like increasing in strength over time. Beyond that, we will be playing on hard, as always. No modding enabled. I think there's a lot of new stuff to see without introducing mods. Well, we can play. We want the longer game length, sure. Cancel. Beyond that, we will go in here, and I have leveled the troll with extra power. I only have 3 skill points for him right now, but we'll get the 10 power from this one here. Otherwise, we could get some extra bleed on one of his attacks, a little bit of tiredness on another. Some spirit regeneration when they kill a hero, and monsters gaining armor when they activate Solar Blessing. So we'll talk more about all of this, particularly the spirits and the Solar Blessing. Spirits then are a new species of monster that is unique to the troll. That's the icon here. And so they will play very much with stuff like this one here, who activates Lunar Blessing. He will be switching between the Solar and the Lunar Blessing with the different creatures, which boosts different things, and that's kind of his major mechanic. Super cool, and I want to try doing a blessing build a little bit more here. In the first one, he was using skeletons and spirits, and I ended up using mostly skeletons, so I didn't really see the blessings all that much. Let's try that here. Beyond that, we start. This is our starting monsters, by the way. So we'll be starting with these. An artifact here which says slowed also reduces heroes' power by 30. So we want to slow as many enemies as we can. Do we have anything that slows them here? No. So that's kind of interesting. Oh, this one does. And we have 2 of these Amaru. They slow the enemy. So that's very powerful. Very good. Anything else that slows? No. Alright. But we'll try getting more. Without further ado, let's dive in.
I will hide here and wait.
He does indeed sit in his cave and waits. We didn't get the intro screen that time, so just briefly for those that may not have played Legend of Keepers before, in this game we are a dungeon boss. We rule over a dungeon. We are kind of like a freelancer boss monster. We work for the Dungeon Corporation, and they will solicitate heroes to visit our dungeon, and it is our job to defeat them or make them scared and run away. In return, we receive treasure and experience points and fame. And that's, the corporate world, just like in real life. Basically the same. The game is played over different weeks. Week 1, week 2, week 3. Currently we are in week 1, and every week we have to make a decision. In the first week it will always be adventurers attacking. We can choose between 2 different ones here. We can look at them. So we can either choose to fight some adventurers in the Aztec ruins with very low difficulty. In return we get a monster and a little bit of gold. Or we can fight the veterans on the other hand here. and they will offer a better reward. So I always say, let's go for gold, let's go for the tougher one. Another thing that I have noticed with the troll so far is that he doesn't deal with morale super well. So like normally we can either do physical damage, like HP damage to the heroes, or we can try to deal morale damage, and that will make them ultimately run away if we deal enough, and also apply various debuffs. The troll and his traps, they don't do a lot of morale damage, so a full-on morale build is hard to handle. Yeah, we only have 2 morale damaging creatures here, which is not enough to make enemies run away. So we will be focusing more on killing them, which is fine. We're gonna eat them, because that's what trolls do. They're cannibals. So, here we are. Before every invasion by the heroes, there will be a planning phase with a randomized dungeon up here, master at the end. And we had to set up each room, first with monsters. Well, that's random, but here we get a monster room, a trap room, then a spell room, monster room, trap room. Alright, and we can set them up as we please here. We get a glimpse at what heroes are going to invade. So we got a barbarian, level 2 already, okay. And he has an enraged ability. He does physical damage to the front, which is something that is important to note. We got a tracker level 2. She has a passive that heals heroes maximum at the start of a fight. Okay. She dodges the first trap that hits her, and she does fire damage to the backliner. Alright. And then they have an ice wizard. Ooh, okay. He will randomly shuffle my monster's positioning, so that's something to keep in mind. He has increased speed, and he does area ice damage. Okay. Do we have anyone with armor? Yes. This guy has 10% armor, so is good at tanking the barbarian. This one did fire damage to the backline, so do we have anyone with fire resistance? Here. That is also only the Amaru. This one has 25% fire weakness, and then 25% fire weakness. So not great. Not great. Alright, let's see. I think we will tank with you on the front. Well, wow, these are not great monsters for this fight. So, like this maybe. So we get the fire resistant one in the back. And then it's important to note that this guy will shuffle my monsters. So this is my ideal setup. What I will usually do then is, like, now we know how we want to have them set up. So I want to do something like this and then hope that they shuffle into that position. That's the best we can do. They won't be in this position. That's the only known we have. He only does this in the first fight. So this is our setup for the first room. We will go on to the next one. Here we plan our trap. We have an electric Tesla coil dealing air damage to the backliner. And he's got no air resistance, so that's nice. And a polar portal, which does area ice damage and applies frostbite. Applies 1 additional stack if the target's ice resistance is negative. Okay. And 2 of them are. So, I think we put the polar portal here. I didn't even notice, like, we don't have a lot of setup options in the first mission here, but we are doing air damage to the front here, nature damage, and air damage to the back. Okay, air damage to him is probably a good idea, yeah, sure. And then the lunar blessing over here, which is something we gotta keep an eye out for. We're activating that, and that should be fine, yes. Good. More on that later. Then comes the polar portal. In the spell room here, we will be casting one of the 3 master spells. Don't have to make a choice right now, luckily. We can do that later. And in this room here, then, we want armor up front. We can have the Abyssal Warrior here has 30%, 40%, no, 30% armor. 30%. And also high ice resistance. That's pretty nice. This one's a really good creature. Very defensive anyway. Then we want, what was it? Fire damage at the back. So they both have that, these guys. The Amaru and the Naga. very good. What then? What do we place in the back? Think like this is the better choice. No, I want to keep the Amaru in the fight as long as possible. The one in the middle will live the longest in this case because they're attacking the frontliner and the backliner and then everything. So the one in the middle will probably last a bit longer than everyone else. More on that later. Then we put the Tesla coil here, and if they pass this room, they will make it to the troll. And then it just plays out, more or less. They shuffled my guys. Right. Not the greatest setup we could have hoped for, but we did get the fire-resistant one in the back. No, this is exactly what I wanted, so this is perfect. I think we will activate the lunar beam immediately. Yes, and we can see what that does. The other choice would be Insanguination at the front, but this does physical damage, and this guy is very physical resistance. That is, armor is physical resistance. So we'll activate the lunar beam. Ice area attack. And that activates the blessing being over here. It wasn't anything before, but now we have the lunar blessing, which increases the ice and air damage dealt to all fighters during fights by 50%. So that it's very important to know that this is both the enemies and my fighters that will do extra ice and air. So if we want to play with the lunar blessing, we gotta make sure that we are doing ice and air damage, and that the enemies hopefully are not. And they have one ice dealer, which is but at least the other two are not within that category. The opposite one of the lunar blessing is the solar blessing, which boosts physical and fire resistance. Very important then to note that there are no blessings that boosts or penalizes nature damage, which is why I'm not particularly fond of the Amaru necessarily, but it does do air damage, so that's fine. Now the Futakuchi Ona is activating, and we can do air damage here to the front, doing vulnerability, or do some morale damage to the backline. We'll just do the air damage, that's fine. Good. The Amaru was burning, yikes. But it won't last for another hit anyway. It'll die the next time it takes a hit. So before then, we'll try just dealing... Oh, the nature damage might be better here. Killing the frontliner. He is weak to nature, so even if the slimy spit is boosted... Oh, but the slow was also better because it reduces the hero's power, and he's got 52 power. When he does an area attack like this, you will note that it does... it divides the power of the hero by 3, and that's how much he does to each of the characters. So weakening him could be quite nice, but this would do a lot of damage to the frontliner, because he's weak to that. The acid spit. I think we'll go for the acid spit. He's also vulnerable because of another ability that we used. Right. Go for it. Let's try to take out the barbarian guy. Here comes the ice. We have one survivor, and she's dead. Alright. Doesn't matter, we'll get them back. They're not happy about dying, though. The portal activated. That deals some damage. And so now we have our master spell. We can choose between Celestial Betrayal, which does air damage to the whole group. And then if a blessing is activated, it will flip it to the opposite side. So we would activate the solar blessing. Not really interested in that. We can do the Frost Whirlwind, which does a ton of damage to the frontliner, and you can see there that would kill the barbarian, so we are going to do that. And we've got the Flaming Mark for the backliner here. But let's kill take one of the heroes off the field. It's always super useful. So we get action advantage. And it's also worth noting that that does do damage to the enemy's morale when they lose a hero. She healed the group as they came into the fight, so it was very nice that we took him out, that guy, so he didn't get the healing. What then? Air damage from this one ricochets to the hero positioned behind the target if the target's morale is above 50%, which it is, or we can get the Frigate Glance, which does ice damage and extra morale damage, doubled if it is the last remaining hero, which it is not. So we will do the Shrill Shout. Yes, you can also see on the heroes here, which one will do the most. And I do think that the Shrill Shout makes the most sense here. Very good. Then the Amaru can do Slimy Spit or the Acid Spit. Maybe we'll try to focus down you. This guy can only attack front though. So maybe we focus front actually. Like this. You do have nature weakness as well. Yeah, we will do that. Well, hold on. Yes, we will. Acid Spit on the front. Ooh, ice damage. Deals 100% of the final damage to the hero, the position directly behind the target. So we can focus on the second one. And it also does significantly more damage. So definitely Permafrost Blade. Go for it. Very nice. The Naga is down. The Amaru is down. Alright. But we do kill the archer here. And I think he won't be able to take down my demon here. So we have won the fight. Very good. Very good. And that's one dungeon invasion. Now we get our reward. We killed some heroes, so we get some blood. If we scare heroes away from morale damage, we would get tears, both of which are used for various things, but mostly leveling up my master. So this is kind of like experience points, and then gold for all the other stuff. And then we get a choice of 3 different spirits. Monsters. 2 of them are spirits, and I want to go for spirits. So let's see if we can do some cool stuff here. We have a Huisotl. A Huisotl. Okay. With 120 health is pretty high. Armor is always nice to have. And so this is a nice tanky creature. It does physical damage to the front and lowers the armor of an enemy hit. Or it can do ice damage and apply tiredness. In general, a very nice creature. Then we got the Anhanga. Has even more health and not armor but other nice resistances. It does fire damage to the front. Damage is dealt by increased by 100% if the group has defeated. If a monster of the group has been defeated during this fight. So if I lose one, I will do more damage with the fire here. Okay, and then ice to the whole group and apply tiredness. Tiredness will reduce their damage output. Okay. Both of these are pretty cool. I've played a bit with the Anhanga, and it is a very nice tanky creature. On the other hand, we can get the Succubus, which I don't think we will be playing. It's a nature focus mostly. Well, nature and fire, and it has the thing with the ricochet, which is very situational, but then situationally very powerful. But I found that it very often is not very strong. So either way, I think I'll go with the Ahuisotl. That one sounds really cool, and it's got a freaky tail. I like that. Good. Motivation then is reduced for monsters that were defeated during this dungeon run. We can inspect our monsters here. So we have our new ally there, and the other guys will have lost some motivation. Not sure why some of them lost 2 and some of them only lost 1. I'm sure there is a good reason. In week 2, we can choose a task. Doctor, stick out your tongue and say, well, this one will heal my master, but he is at full health. So let's go for the engineer. The engineer will allow us to upgrade our traps. You'd think that it's nice to upgrade these ice and air things for the Lunar Blessing, but that's only... The blessings in particular are only active during fights. So they don't affect the traps. Traps are still nice, of course. Air weakness, for example, is nice, and frostbite here. I think I would like to boost the electrical coil and maybe focus on the air weakness. We have some monsters doing a lot of air damage already. Was I smart enough to get a new one? No, this one does ice damage. Okay. Let's go for the electrical coil. In fact, we can upgrade both. Why not? Trainer and engineer. Engineer again will level up traps, while the trainer can train monsters and level them up. I'm not sure we should, because it can be dangerous to spend your last 200 gold. We can look at what the upgrades will do, though. Like this, if we upgrade the Amaru, you can see that it increases in health in power, which means the damage of its attacks will go up. And it gets a new passive here. Solar Blessing will mean that it does air weakness, and Lunar Blessing means it attacks apply bounty. Yeah, okay. I'm not super stoked about the bounty thing. Can we see the bounty? Oh. Mechanic explained here. Not there. Okay. The bounty mechanic means that if it'll put like a timer on the enemy, it's 1 round per bounty stack. If you kill a hero that has a bounty, that monster will gain some motivation back. And for the record, if you ever run out of motivation on a monster, it means it has to sit out in the reserves for a few weeks. So that can be annoying, but it's usually not the end of the world, and it's not something I want to focus on in general. The Shupa Kepa is ice on the upgrade. Can we get anything that will give us more slow? The Naga becomes really nasty against people with low morale, which we have decided that we're not really going to go for. Applies Frostbite to all heroes when a monster of the group is defeated. Okay. Cannot upgrade this one because it's too expensive. It will remove all bonuses from the target that the target is benefiting from if there's a Solar Blessing or Lunar Blessing. The Ahisutra gains 20 armor and 20 ice resistance. A lot of these spirits will have a similar thing where they gain a passive based on whether it is whether we are in Solar or Lunar Blessing. So that's the general mechanic for them. And not only some monsters can activate the blessings. So I think I want to play the Chupacabra often, and therefore I want to train it. I know I said we shouldn't spend our money, but here we go. Alchemist will allow me to transmute blood into tears, or tears into blood, or blood and tears into gold, neither of which are very interesting, so we will just do a random event. We got an innovation, and I shouldn't have spent my last money because now we can't buy this cheap trap. Oh well. The R&D manager has developed a new trap and seems to be very proud of it. He wants to secretly sell it to you for a few gold coins. 50 gold for a trap would have been great. We can't afford it. Too bad. Therapist is for regaining motivation. Black market is for selling my monsters. We don't have enough monsters to sell, so we'll do another event. What do we have here? It is high time to go through the stockroom. During the cleaning, one of your employees found this strange object. Would you like to take it, auction it, or gift it to the employee? Huh. What would that give? +1 level. Okay, so the Staff of Speech. Monsters in a group containing 3 different types gain 30% extra power at the start of a fight. I don't have monsters of 3 different types, and I am not 100% sure that we can get it. So I think I will give it to my Amaru here. That is, I believe it costs more than 150 gold to level this one up, so that's a nice little free gain. I'll take that. That was a nice event. Very good. And we can play in Frozen Caves or Frozen Caves, gaining 2 or 3 difficulty. That's not a much higher difficulty. Oh, and we gain an artifact if we beat the veterans. Stacking a few artifacts, that could be a very powerful combination. So that's what we will be going for here. And this guy leveled up. Beautiful. Look at that power difference in just damage. Just the damage alone from the nature here. 20 more. Very cool. 10 more health. And then the passive, obviously. Okay. What do we want to do here? I think I wanted you in the first room, in fact. No. Not necessarily. I don't see any real problem with our current setup. No. Nope. The Amarus combo with one another. because stacking poison is better when played together. That's how I should put it. So maybe we move them around like this. They are also my more tanky creatures, but so are these two here. That's fine. Yes. This I like. Not a huge fan of this Hasaki, but maybe there will be some cool stuff with you later. We've upgraded both of our traps. I'm fairly confident going into this next fight. And here we go. We are up against a Herbalist, which will heal one of the hero's maximum life for 25% after a fight once. Okay, so they got a healer. The hero's always randomized entirely, and their skills and passives can be different things, so lots of stuff to take into mind when we start a new invasion, always. So this one does nature damage to the backliner. Then we got an air damage to the front, and she will replace a penalty with a bonus. And we got fire damage to the front. Deals ice damage to the monster with the lowest ice resistance at the start of each fight, and loses 50% less morale. So since we're not doing morale damage, that's fine. This is super annoying. If we could kill her in the first fight, that would be amazing. But she's got nature resistance, so... Let's see, if we play the Amarus, we would probably be spitting air damage to the backline, and he's got negative air resistance, so that seems like a nice idea. And they have nature resistance, surely? Yes. And here we are taking, what, air to the front and fire to the front. Air and fire. Okay, so that would be another Amaru. So maybe we go like this. Having the nature resistance at the back here, and a little bit more tanky Amaru up front with fire and negative air resistance, but what can you do? We can't have everything. And the Chupacabra in the middle sounds good to me, because we definitely want to activate the blessing. Do we definitely want to do it? They have one air mage, yeah, so that's fine. Yes, we will go for the Lunar Blessing. Go. Air weakness. Oh, I should really think about setting up so that we have air damage in the second room more, because then we can line up the Tesla coil before that and give them air weakness. Oh, and that combos nicely with the Amaru. So, should have thought about that earlier. Something to consider for future dungeons. The Tesla coil I still think is the better one here. And then, oh, hold on. Do we do air damage at all with the hero, the master? No. Okay, so then this is the better lineup. Again, we're taking air to the front, fire to the front. You have air weakness. Air and fire resistance on the Naga. Okay, so you go front. Nature. Oof, we are not good against nature here. Okay. So you, and then you will tank the nature damage. That's going to be rough, but what can we do? Yeah, they all have nature weakness. Oof. Polar portal here.
Food.
Food. Okay. The question becomes, do we go for the Lunar Beam, or we could go for Exsanguination on the frontliner here. That wouldn't be half bad. But I think we want to activate the Lunar Blessing. Then the Lunar Blessing, the Amaru's attacks will apply Bounty, which is not that great. We should try to get a Solar Blessing going, maybe. Well, it still buffs their air attack, so maybe I'm wrong. Air damage to the back line here. Look at that damage. Definitely doing that. It also applies slow, which we have decided that does reduce their attack also. So that's great. More of that, please. Amaru down! Amaru down! This can kill the backliner before it takes another turn. So would this one do. That one would also kill the backliner. Unless it dies to use. Now we got to do some math. It has 40 health, 5% nature resistance, and she does 48 nature damage. 5% of 48. Oof. 5% of 48. I don't think that it would survive the attack, meaning that she will kill it. And then Alana in the back here would get another turn. So I want to kill Alana. It did not survive, I was right. And we get another action here. That's some nice damage. Oh, it gets really strong when the Lunar Blessing is active here. No doubt about that. The bleeding can be good. The bleeding will do a total of... It'll do 15, then 10, then 5. So that's 30, making it 78 damage. With an adjustment of lowered armor here. This one has air. Sorry, it's ice damage. Okay. I think this will do more damage over time. Hitting the frontliner here. And then she heals, but she's still bleeding. The Tesla coil goes. Okay. Which combos with the Frost Whirlwind here. We can also flip the Blessing. Do we do more fire? In fact, the Lunar Blessing is now helping them a whole lot. And I do have a fire unit here. And physical. So flipping the Blessing could be very good. Flipping it into fire and physical damage. I think we will. There, we are in the Solar Blessing, boosting physical and fire, which means her damage is not best buffed anymore, and ours, fire and physical, will be. Very good. Naka, go! Can we get some good damage going here? It's either... Applies burn to all heroes if the target's life is under 50%, which it is, so... She does have fire resistance, but she's got ice resistance too. Lots of ice resistance there, even though it damages 2 of them, I think. This is more powerful right now. And can we kill the frontliner then? Yes, we can, so it doesn't hit the backliner again. Very nice. Yes. Nice. That was her animation for flipping a debuff into a buff. She gained enhanced armor, so now she's got even more armor. And if it is the last remaining hero, we can do the Frigid Glance. That does a lot of morale damage. Morale damage is kind of interesting. I haven't really noted that one. When we get it has like certain tiers, and the lower we get it, the more damage they take in the other category. They gain it back when dealing, finishing off monsters, and they lose it when they lose heroes. And if we can reduce it to 0, we would make it run away, which would be nice to gain some tiers. So maybe we'll try to make it run away in this case. Not killing it, I mean. So we're trying not to kill it now, which sounds counterintuitive. But it should make sense. We'll make it tired, so she does less damage. So now my Naga survived. We needed the Naga to have 2 more turns. Now it won't get to do the final morale attack. So I think, yes, because she will kill the Naga on her turn, and that just penalizes me, and we can't do more morale damage. So, just finish her off. It's fine. Good stuff. And we get the blood instead. We can gain an artifact then. So let's read those. This one I've seen before. That's really good. 2 birds, 1 stone. Attacks targeting only the hero at the front. Deal 30% of that final damage to the hero positioned behind the target. So just 30% more damage if you're only targeting the frontliner. Very cool. Calendar of the Apocalypse says, once all combatants have taken their action in a turn, adds a stack to all penalties applied to them. So that's really nice if we do a lot of penalties. But worth noting that that also can backfire, because if they do penalties to us, we also get more stacks. And then we got the Cursed Spirit, which says applies burn to all heroes when a demon is defeated. And we're not trying to build a demon build, so maybe the Calendar of the Apocalypse could be really powerful here. So then we want to stack penalties even more. I'm very interested in doing that, honestly. Let's try it out. All right. Another invasion defeated, and that makes half an hour on the money almost. So we'll be cutting this up into episodes of roughly 30 minutes. I hope you guys enjoy the playthrough. It'll be coming out over the week. See you soon, guys, and bye-bye.